really thankful for, the training staff and player development and everybody that has kind of been there with me. They haven't taken a break either because they invest a lot of time and they want me to be successful. So I think for myself, like it's not proving it to yourself again, but it's just that feeling. And I think it just made me smile quite a bit. Like I really did kind of feel like myself out there and just continuing to get my lungs back. But I felt like I was moving really well. So it was pretty satisfying.
Like when I touched the basketball to start warming up before the practice even started, that's when I felt pretty comfortable, she revealed later.
Being hurt is an incredibly isolating thing, and you don't really understand it until you go through it. And then I think the challenge for myself was just, it was one injury and then it was like a little better, and then it kind of continued to compound and get worse, and other things pop up, and then I had the ankle injury. So it feels nice to finally be back to 100%.
That vulnerability you just heard, that's not the Caitlin Clark the basketball world was used to seeing. The woman who broke 62 WNBA records as a rookie was talking about isolation, about compounding injuries, about finally feeling like herself again. And what happened next at Team USA camp wasn't just a comeback story. It was a statement that redefined the entire landscape of USA basketball for the next decade. 5 months. That's how long Caitlin Clark had been away from competitive basketball when she walked into Team USA camp in December. 5 months of watching from the sidelines while her body betrayed her. 5 months of wondering if the magic from her historic rookie season was gone forever. And standing across from her at that same camp was Angel Reese, ready to prove she deserved a spot on the 2026 World Cup roster. But here's what the headlines won't tell you. This wasn't about a rivalry between Clark and Reese. This was about whether the most talented guard in a generation could recover from an injury nightmare that would have ended lesser careers. And the answer Clark delivered shocked everyone watching, including Sue Bird herself. If you believe the real story is always deeper than the highlight reel, hit that like button right now. It tells us you're ready to go beyond the surface-level analysis and understand what's actually happening in the WNBA. Let's rewind to where this all started going wrong. Clark's rookie season was nothing short of legendary. 62 WNBA records fell to this 22-year-old guard. Triple-doubles became routine. Shots from half-court looked easy. The Indiana Fever went from league laughingstock to playoff contender overnight. Basketball fans who'd never watched a WNBA game suddenly couldn't miss a Fever matchup. Then came her sophomore season, and everything collapsed. It started with a quad injury during preseason, not ideal but manageable. Clark tried to push through it because that's what elite athletes do. They play hurt, they sacrifice for the team, but this injury didn't heal properly. Instead, it got worse. Other problems started appearing. Her movement looked restricted. Her explosive first step disappeared. The player who'd averaged 16.5 points and almost 9 assists in just 13 healthy games couldn't stay on the court. Clark described the frustration perfectly when she said it was one injury. Then it got a little better, but then it continued to compound and get worse. Other things started popping up. Then came the ankle injury that finally ended her season, 13 games. That's all she managed in her entire sophomore year. 13 games after rewriting the record books as a rookie. Many of you noticed something was seriously wrong back in October. You were commenting on her limited mobility, her changed shooting mechanics, the way she couldn't push tempo like before. You were onto something. The injuries were compounding in ways that threatened not just her season, but her entire career trajectory. Being hurt is incredibly isolating. Clark revealed later, you don't really understand it until you go through it. And that isolation hit different for someone like Clark. She went from being the center of the basketball universe to watching practices from the training room, from breaking records every night to wondering if she'd ever feel normal on a basketball court again. The whispers started getting louder. Was her rookie year a fluke? Would the injuries keep piling up? Was her body just not built for the physical demands of professional basketball? But here's what makes Clark different from most players. She didn't just focus on physical recovery. She stayed mentally engaged with her teammates despite being sidelined. Sue Bird noticed this throughout the season. Clark remained a supportive presence even when she couldn't play. She studied film. She communicated with coaches. She invested in her relationships with players like Aliyah Boston, building chemistry that would pay off later. The training staff at Indiana Fever didn't take a single day off. They invested countless hours into Clark's recovery because they understood what was at stake. This wasn't just about getting a player back on the court. This was about preserving a generational talent who could change the trajectory of women's basketball. Clark expressed deep gratitude for their commitment, acknowledging they wanted her to be successful just as badly as she wanted to return. Fast forward to December, and Clark walked into Team USA camp, carrying the weight of those 5 lost months. This wasn't a friendly scrimmage. This was her audition for the 2026 World Cup team and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Every coach was watching. Every analyst had their cameras ready. Sue Bird, the managing director, was evaluating whether Clark could be the cornerstone of USA basketball's next dynasty. The pressure was suffocating. Other guards at camp were fighting for roster spots. Angel Reese was trying to prove her value as a rebounder and defender. Experienced players were showcasing their skills, and Clark hadn't played competitive basketball in nearly half a year. She admitted feeling nervous walking into that environment. But then something remarkable happened the moment she touched the basketball during warm-ups. Clark said that's when she felt pretty comfortable. Not just okay, not just managing, comfortable, like she was herself again. And what came next validated every hour the training staff had invested in her recovery. Clark declared herself 100% healthy, not 70%, not almost there, 100%. And unlike most athletes who make that claim prematurely, Clark backed it up immediately. Her first practice session wasn't about easing back into competition. It was about announcing her return to elite status. Coach Kara Lawson watched Clark work and couldn't hide her amazement. She looked good on both ends, Lawson stated after practice. But that simple comment carried massive implications. Clark hadn't just survived the layoff. She hadn't just looked decent for someone coming back from injury. She looked good on both ends of the court, which meant her defensive mobility was back, her offensive rhythm was intact, and her basketball IQ hadn't missed a beat. The analysts started breaking down film from that first practice session, and what they found changed everything. Clark's speed was back. That explosive burst that made her special as a rookie had returned. Basketball insiders who'd been holding their breath watching her struggle through injuries suddenly realized they were witnessing something rare. A complete recovery, a full return to form. Maybe even an improved version of the player who'd broken all those records. And standing in the corner of that practice facility, watching Clark push tempo and create opportunities, was Aliyah Boston. The chemistry these two Indiana Fever teammates had built during Clark's healthy stretches was about to become the foundation of something much bigger than anyone expected.
That stands out to me in looking at this. It's not just that she's back on the basketball court and it's a relief, but her speed seems to be back. We saw it on that step back 3 on the first day of practice, but there was a play in the day 2, and this play for a number of reasons is very exciting to watch. But number one, let's start with the speed. You see Caitlin Clark gets the dribble handoff from Aliyah Boston. It's the way she turns the corner and how quickly she gets down that stands out to me here. Look, coming downhill, great pass, right, to Jackie Young down there. So dribble handoff, skirt, and just moving quick with intent, gets it to Jackie Young, who misses the layup. I guess you can't rule anything completely out. Can't rule anything completely out like that team up right there. But I expect to see them really playing well off of each other in Team USA and in a Team USA uniform over the next several years, and the next couple of versions of that team. Just because She knows how to, Jackie Young knows how to do almost everything out on the court, and she would just thrive, I think, and she will thrive playing alongside Caitlin Clark.
That breakdown reveals exactly what makes Caitlin Clark impossible to guard. Her speed isn't just back, it's weaponized. And that partnership with Jackie Young that analysts are projecting, that's the future of Team USA basketball taking shape in real time. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about what happened when Clark reunited with Aliyah Boston at camp. Drop a comment right now telling us which player you think has the best chemistry with Caitlin Clark. Boston? Jackie Young? Cameron Brink? We want to hear your take because this conversation is just getting started. Building team chemistry usually takes weeks or months in camp settings. Players need time to learn each other's tendencies, understand timing, figure out preferred spots on the court. Most guards struggle to find big men in traffic or deliver passes at the right speed. Some duos never develop real chemistry, no matter how much time they spend together. But Clark and Boston already knew each other's games inside and out. They'd spent an entire season together with the Indiana Fever, learning how to read each other's movements and create scoring opportunities before injuries derailed everything. Their connection became obvious to coaches within minutes of that first Team USA practice. Here's what happened. Clark would grab a defensive rebound and immediately push tempo, scanning the court for Boston sprinting down the floor. Boston knew exactly when to cut and where Clark preferred to deliver the pass. The timing was perfect. The execution was seamless. It looked like they'd been playing together for years instead of being separated by 5 months of injury recovery. One specific moment during practice made Sue Bird and the coaching staff realize they were watching something special. Clark found Boston cutting to the basket with a pass that seemed to defy physics. The ball arrived exactly where Boston needed it when she needed it. Boston smiled as she finished the play. Clark grinned right back. The two Indiana Fever teammates had just shown Team USA exactly what chemistry looks like when it's built on trust and shared experience. But it wasn't just the Boston connection that impressed everyone at camp. Clark's ability to create opportunities for teammates at every level became the dominant storyline. She'd push tempo after defensive rebounds, forcing the defense into scramble mode. Her court vision allowed her to find open shooters and corners before defenders could rotate. The gravity she created simply by being on the court opened up spacing for everyone else.
Caitlin Clark's so special, all right? And this is what put pressure on defenses when she's out there, even if her shot isn't falling. All right, watch this. She gets the rebound. She's pushing the floor. Look at this tempo. Look at this tempo, fam. Pushing the floor. Absolutely rushing the defense. And then this is what happens when you do things like this. Look, watch this. Look, now you got a wide open AB over in the corner. I know it might be hard to see, but a wide open AB. All because she grabbed that rebound and pushed the tempo. Not to do this, that's what makes her special. Now, there are other guards that can recognize when to push the floor and when not to, but I'm just pointing out what's special about Caitlin, along with those three balls that she can knock down. When her shot isn't falling, this is what makes her a weapon. Although her shot isn't falling, people still respect her to the level where they're like, hey, she can get hot, man. We're not gonna just allow her to be open just because she missed 1, 2, 3 shots. We're not gonna allow that, man. Stay on her. That gravity that she holds, man, it opens up the...
That gravity is exactly what separates elite players from good ones. Defenses can't ignore Clark even when her shot isn't falling. They have to respect her range. They have to account for her passing. They have to honor her ability to get hot at any moment. And that defensive attention creates opportunities for everyone else on the floor. Clark's joy was obvious to everyone watching that first practice. She said her main goal for the day was just to smile and have fun. And that smile never left her face. She had her game back, her health back, her confidence back. The entire dynamic at Team USA camp shifted the moment Clark proved she was truly healthy again. Sue Bird watched Clark's performance with obvious satisfaction. She looked great, Bird said about Clark's return to form. The managing director's praise carried significant weight in USA basketball circles. When Sue Bird says a player looks great, coaches listen. Bird noted that Clark's rhythm was back after months away from competitive basketball. The conditioning would come, the timing would sharpen, but the foundation was clearly there. Let's filter out the noise for a second and connect the dots on what this means for roster construction. The coaching staff's reactions revealed their clear preference throughout camp. They smiled when Clark made plays. They nodded when she made smart decisions. Their body language showed they'd found their starting point guard for the next decade. Some analysts started putting together their projected starting lineups based on camp performances. Caitlin Clark at point guard, Jackie Young at shooting guard, Kayla Copper at small forward, Derica Hamby at power forward, Aliyah Boston at center. That lineup brings elite shooting, defensive versatility, and chemistry that's already been proven at the professional level. Clark's dominant showing essentially ended any real competition for the primary point guard role. Other guards were still fighting for roster spots, but Clark had locked down the starting position. The future of Team USA basketball was taking shape around one player who had just announced her return to elite form after the most challenging stretch of her career. While everyone focused on who would make the roster, the real story was about who would define the next decade of Team USA basketball. This camp marked the moment when USA basketball officially passed the torch to a new generation. Clark stood at the center of that transition. Her dominant performance showed coaches they had found their franchise player for years to come. Clark reflected on her journey with USA basketball during camp. She remembered playing on the U16 team and dreaming about representing the senior national team. "It's the beginning of a new Olympic cycle," Clark said about her return to Team USA. And that dream was now becoming reality, but the pressure was massive. The 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles carried enormous expectations for a team accustomed to gold medals. But here's where Angel Reese's situation becomes relevant to this story. Many of you have been asking about Reese's prospects for making this team. Let's be transparent about what we're seeing at camp. Reese emphasized that players were selected based on their ability to contribute to the team, but her fit with the new direction looked questionable from the start. Reading between the lines reveals a fundamental problem. Reese's playing style doesn't mesh well with Clark's tempo-focused approach. Clark wants to push the ball up the court immediately after defensive rebounds. Reese's game is built around offensive rebounding and second-chance points. Clark creates opportunities through passing and spacing. Reese creates opportunities through physicality and persistence. The coaching staff seemed less impressed with Reese's individual performances compared to Clark's team-first mentality. One analyst put it bluntly when discussing Reese's role: "She can be an asset rebounding and being tenacious on this team as a role player, which is what she should be. She's not a star go-to player, rebound and play defense. That's it. That should be your role." That assessment might sound harsh, but it reflects the reality of international basketball. Team USA doesn't need players who require the ball in their hands to be effective. They need players who can thrive within a system built around elite guards like Clark. Reese's chances of making the final roster appeared to be slipping away as camp progressed. Clark's chemistry with players like Boston and Cameron Brink highlighted natural connections that Reese couldn't replicate. The competitive atmosphere intensified as roster spots became more defined. Reese grew frustrated watching Clark dominate practices while her own opportunities decreased. The truth is, not every talented WNBA player translates to international success. Coach Kara Lawson was crystal clear about Clark's status after camp. "She looked good on both ends of the court and hadn't missed a beat," Lawson noted. The head coach highlighted Clark's focus and readiness despite time away from competitive play. These comments signaled Clark's locked-in status for the 2026 World Cup roster and beyond. The official roster announcement would formalize what everyone already knew. Clark had secured her starring role on Team USA's future championship plans. Her return positioned both the national team and the Indiana Fever for unprecedented success. The foundation was set for a dominant run through 2026 and beyond. Team USA had found their leader for the next decade. If you want to stay ahead of these roster decisions and understand what's really happening with Team USA basketball, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. We're breaking down every camp development, every roster implication, and every controversial decision as they happen. This is just the beginning of Clark's international career, and you don't want to miss what comes next. Sue Bird and Coach Lawson aren't just building a team for 2026. They're building a dynasty around one player who just proved she's fully recovered from the darkest period of her career. The challenge seemed huge 5 months ago. How do you come back from compounding injuries? How do you regain elite conditioning? How do you rebuild confidence after being sidelined for so long? Clark answered every question with her performance at camp. She brought elite talent but also leadership qualities that Sue Bird praised throughout her injury recovery. She stayed engaged with teammates despite being sidelined. Her step-back threes and passing skills haven't missed a beat. Her speed and burst are completely back. And most importantly, that smile returned to her face. Team USA has found their leader for Germany 2026 and Los Angeles 2028. The torch has been passed to a new generation, and Caitlin Clark is ready to carry it all the way to gold. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one where we break down exactly how Clark's return impacts the Indiana Fever's championship window.